The Miami Dolphins beat the Bills 21-19. Now, some outlets have the Dolphins as the number one team in the power rankings. Others don't still. They are 3-0, the only team that's 3-0 along with the Eagles. Now, what do you think about this win over the Bills, and what do you think is the reason for the Dolphins being a legit threat in the AFC?
Well. Dolphins, 3-0. Who would have thought it? Oh, wait. Me. I was nervous before Sunday. I was, because the Bills are no small challenge. They are a powerhouse, one of the best teams in the NFL. But I believed in the Miami Dolphins because they were at home. The Dolphins are new. They're revamped. And they have that one guy, Tua Tagovailoa. Now, when he went down, it was worrying. It was worrying because it was scary as shit. He got up. He didn't know where he was. Kind of just busted ass. Fell again. It was ugly, and I was worried that he wasn't going to play anymore. People would seem genuinely concerned. It didn't look like he was going to come back into the game. For him to come back into the game to start the second half, and to start the second half with a laser 25-yard throw, kind of set the tone for the second half for the Miami Dolphins. Now, it's not just a credit to Tua because this defense situationally stepped up immensely when it needed to. The offensive line was fantastic. Let up 5 pressures, no sacks. When Tua was at quarterback. They let up 1 sack to Teddy when he came in for that brief moment in time in the first half. Mike McDaniel is a genius. He's an amazing play caller. He genuinely is. But when Tua comes into the game in the second half to start, after going down, it kind of just brings a new energy to the team. Your quarterback goes down, it's just one of the worst gut punches there is. But when you see him fight through it and come back into the game, it just lights up the team like very few other instances. And he came in against one of the better defenses in the league, and he played very well. 72% completion percentage. Not amazing statistical game, 180 yards and a touchdown, but he made great throw after great throw. He gets the ball in the fourth quarter to start it and puts a dot on 3rd and 22nd to Jalen Waddle. He did an excellent job of breaking that film down on his Instagram. It was so perfectly true because there was a lot of great things that went into it. The offensive line held up. The weapons got open. The play design was great, and Tua dropped in an amazing ball. This team is one of the most well-rounded teams in the NFL, and that's one of the main reasons why it is where it is right now, 3-0 atop the AFC. Of course, I can sit here and I can try and praise Tua all I want, and for valid reason, he's been amazing. But this has been a collaborative team effort. Starts from the coach to a solid run game to a great offensive line that has been just night and day to last year, to amazing weapons for Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle to be 2 of the top 3 in receiving yards so far this season. And for the defense to hold the Bills when they had an 8-minute drive to 0 points in the fourth quarter. That's the game right there. As great as the offense was and managing the game in the second half, the defense stopping the Bills on that 8-minute drive won them the game. So the defense could be better than the Miami Dolphins for that matter, because last week against the Ravens, it was atrocious. But this week, when it needed to be, it was huge.
Do you have any concerns about the investigation into Miami?
So that was interesting too. But
he was definitely concussed.
He was, no doubt about it. But it's his back. He's been very vocal that his back has just been bothering him when it comes to throwing, to turning, to doing any type of movements, to the point where before practice today, he hadn't thrown a football. He was trying to be very mindful of it, and he only threw just right before practice had started. He might not, like, there's a chance he might not play on Thursday.
A short week is
But
rough.
I don't think it has to do with the concussion. I think that the spine really ultimately does have connections to everything, and it might have just been that his spine kind of just messed up his equilibrium, and he kind of just forced him to fall to the ground. But I'm not thinking anything of it about the investigation because he's already not in concussion protocol. It has been identified that his back really was the issue, and there is science to back that.
Wow, so I thought he was concussed. The way he was wobbly.
No,
his head also slammed on the back.
His equilibrium was definitely messed up, but it stemmed from the back hitting to then his head hitting. There was just a lot going on for him right there.
Look, I think for me, The Miami Dolphins, what's making them so elite is their offense. That's really what it is. I think offensively, their firepower is amongst the best in the NFL.
Amen.
The play calling by Mike McDaniel, and the defense could be better, but they get the necessary stops when they need it.
100%.
Waddle and Tyreek Hill are both top 5 in yards run per route, second and third in receiving yards this season. And according to Football Outsiders, they have the 13th best pass blocking offensive line, 5th in points per drive, 2nd in offensive DVOA. So this has been an elite level offense, one of the best in the NFL. Their defense, in totality, they let up a lot of yards, but I feel like that's kind of been a calling card for the Dolphins these past couple of seasons. They let up a lot of yards.
Extremely true.
And in certain situations, they just get crucial stops or a turnover here and there. Early in the Buffalo game, Javon Holland gets a strip sack on Josh Allen, which led to perfect field position for a touchdown that Chase Edmonds ran in. Late in the Buffalo game, the Bills had 2 chances to score on their final 2 drives, and Miami stopped them both. But the question arises, like, how much of that is Miami just being good and the Bills shooting themselves in the foot? Because Allen missed a wide open flat to Singletary.
That was bad.
You can't blame
I thought
him.
you were talking about the pass to McKenzie, too, because that was a touchdown.
This game, Josh Allen had 71 dropbacks. That's the most by a quarterback in NFL history. Right now, he's experiencing Luka Doncic level usage rate in the NFL. Like, he's getting everything is running through Josh Allen. And then the last play of the game, Isaiah McKenzie failed to get out of bounds. He caught it in the middle of the field. He could have turned up. Instead,
at that moment.
He could have turned up. Instead, he runs to the sideline, then turns up, doesn't get out of bounds, and the clock runs out. The Bills would have tried for a field goal there. Those are just mistakes by the Bills, in all honesty. And I think Miami, yes, they had a great game, but I do believe the Bills are still the better team. I didn't come away from that game thinking the Dolphins are better than the Bills. I think the Bills are still better than the Dolphins. You look at this game, the Bills had 31 first downs to the Dolphins 15, 90 total plays to 39, 497 yards to 212, 40 minutes time of possession to 19. The Dolphins had a season low 4 explosive plays, and this was only the 15th time in 157 games since 1950 that a team lost with at least 31 first downs while allowing no more than 15. And Miami ran 39 plays on offense and won. Only 3 times since 1940 has a team won while running fewer plays. This was kind of an anomaly performance, and I think we've seen this from the Dolphins 2 weeks in a row. They come back, miraculous comeback against the Ravens, and now they beat the Bills. I just feel like if those teams meet and the same situation happens all over again, the Dolphins don't win it at the end of the day. I think these are obviously great wins, but we have to take into account that the Bills dominated in every single facet of the game, and their injuries are real. Mitch Morse, Jordan Phillips, Ed Oliver, Trey White, Micah Hyde, he's out for the year, Jordan Poyer, they all got hurt. Dane Jackson wasn't playing, a starting corner. Christian Benford in the game got hurt. Spencer Brown, Ryan Bates, Dawson Knox, they all got hurt. They're all their starters, and
It's like it's football.
It's part of the game.
For Buffalo to hold the Dolphins' offense in check for as much as they did while playing backup secondary players, not even backup secondary, backup to the backups, 2 of your best defensive linemen out of the game, I think the Bills, to me, are still the better team. And Xavier Rhodes is visiting the Bills. He actually is visiting them, and he was coached by Leslie Frazier. This would be some much added depth to their team. The Dolphins, I think their offense is explosive, but there's still a concern with them because defensively, they're not able to generate pressure off a 4-man front, so they have to blitz, and they blitz Josh Allen a lot, and they paid for it most of the time. And they allow a ton of yards. They're 31st in passing yards allowed in the NFL, 20th in rushing yards allowed. So this isn't as complete of a team as I'd like it to be. The offense is definitely humming right now, but it is week 3. What's going to happen when teams start to figure out Tua's tendencies a little bit more, the offense's tendencies? We'll see how defenses adjust. But so far, the Dolphins are starting off well.
It's year 3. You would think that defenses kind of have some kind of clue to
New
his
offense.
tendency.
New offense.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I want to give Miami their credit, though, because you could say, Buffalo held them in check, but they just weren't on the field too much, right? You said they had 20 minutes of time possession. It's easy to hold the team to 21 points when they don't have that many possessions. So
barely touched the ball.
I need to give, Buffalo, especially their ball control on offense, having such long drives, kept Miami's offense on the field. And we see that for some of the most high offenses, high explosive offenses. You want to keep them on the sideline so they can't score as quickly. Buffalo did a great job at that, but at the end of the day, they're a great team. They didn't execute. They didn't get it done in the red zone. Josh Allen missed throws that we think he could get in his sleep, especially that touchdown to McKenzie at the end of the game. So it's a game looking at it like, yeah, Buffalo probably should have hit that throw and, get off the field a little, or get on the end zone. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And end up winning that game, but they didn't. You have to give credit to Miami because this was a game, I don't know if you said Miami or Buffalo, but I know us three all picked Buffalo to win.
I picked Miami.
You did. They beat Baltimore. They beat Buffalo. Are they anomaly type games? Sure, but you're taking 2 wins. You're 3-0 going into Cincinnati now on a short week with Tua's injury. I am concerned about this upcoming week, but to talk just a little bit about the question at hand, which what makes the Dolphins a legitimate threat in the AFC. I don't think I've ever seen an offense have so many wide open wide receivers, right? And that's not just Mike McDaniel. That is the talent they have at wide receiver, the offensive line playing amazing, and Tua just always hitting the open guy. I feel like every time Tua drops back, he's finding a guy that's wide open, and that's not discrediting him saying he's throwing to wide open guys. He's making the perfect read every single time. I think he only had 13 completions on Sunday, but every single time the guy was wide open, and he was just putting the ball, and you got the run after the catch with 2 of the most explosive receivers in the league. We know the offense is real. He's leading the league in touchdowns, or not leading, but amongst the league leaders in touchdowns, yards, completion percentage. He's having a phenomenal year. My only hesitation about the Dolphins' offense right now is their run game, because Chase Edmonds and Raheem Mostert both have 80 total yards of rushing. That's concerning, because especially in the AFC, when you get into November, December, January, the weather gets rough, the wind gets going, it's not as easy to pass, especially in Miami in that warm weather. You're going to have to be able to run the ball and have some sort of success. So that's where, I do hesitate a little bit. If they do have to go to a Baltimore, to a Cincinnati, to a Buffalo and play in that type of weather, that's my really only concern about the offense. But defensively, if you're holding Buffalo to less than 20 points, you're going to be winning a lot of games. If you could hold an offense like that to less than 20 points, you're going to be winning a lot of games. I know Josh Allen had 400 yards, but he had 63 attempts. If he has 63 attempts, I'm expecting him to get 400 yards. So if you have this type of offense with Waddle, Tyreek, having those big plays, as long as you're good situationally, on third down, in the red zone, I like my chances, because I have an offense that could score in a minute, in 2 minutes, or even less with the type of playmakers they have. It was really just that second quarter against the Ravens where they allowed 21 points. The other 11 quarters of football, they've allowed 35 points. And this is to the Ravens, to the Bills. The Patriots don't have as explosive offense as these other guys. But that's about 3 points per quarter. So you take away that second quarter against the Ravens, the worst one. The defense overall has played really well. So Miami, without a doubt, is a legitimate contender in the AFC. The only thing I want to see going forward, get the run game more involved, which is what I'm expecting with McDaniel's offense coming from the Shanahan tree.
To answer the question, I wouldn't say this makes them legitimate contenders, but this wakes people up even more. You beat a team like the Bills, who we all considered were the best team in the league. That wakes it up. Now, of course, situation, you could talk about the Bills not having their secondary damn near to start the game. Guys were in and out of the lineup on the offensive line. Stephon Diggs in the fourth quarter kept going in, kept going out. They had a lot of things. It wasn't a good day for the Bills. The weather was messing them up. But still, like you said, 19 points, holding the Bills, one of the best offenses in the league, holding them to 19 points, getting situational stops is good. I don't want to say, I still think the Bills are the better team, because I do think in a regular situation, if they have their secondary, this looks like a different game. But credit Miami for getting that win, for going out there, getting key stops. Buffalo had the ball for damn near the whole game, and they still only had 19 points. Do I expect Allen to miss those plays again? I don't. Do I expect him to get a flag like that early in the game? I don't. I don't expect him to act out of character like that ever again, especially in a playoff situation.
He jaws, though. He does,
but I don't expect him to push another player's helmet off. I don't expect Allen to do that, especially in a game like that where I know he knows it's an important game.
Playoff time, you're right.
Yeah, so in playoff time, I expect that pass to McKenzie to be right on point. But to Miami's credit, Waddle making that play, Tua being as comfortable as he was, making plays, the defense getting situational stops. You can see this team is slowly growing into a complete team. Jerome Baker was solid on the defensive end. So I think, legitimate contender, I don't know. That's tough. It's still week 4. It's still too early to say, but they're definitely waking a lot of people up, because this is a They played the Ravens, who we considered a great defense.
Let's say, who are the real if Miami's not, who are the real
would be
contenders? Buffalo?
Before we walked in, it was the Bills and the
really
Chargers, right?
I don't really think I'm ready to
Chargers
put.
is-
Well, I said before when we walked
I'm
into
saying
the
right
season,
now, today.
I think it's the Bills.
Like you could, if you want to say Bills, sure. But Miami has to be in that top
No,
three
they
in the
absolutely
AFC.
have to. They just beat the Ravens and the Bills.
The only thing that's tough is they're in the same division with the Bills. So if they end up getting the wild card and have to go on the road the whole time, that makes things more
But it
difficult.
was never crazy that the Dolphins could win the division.
It's not.
I think it was.
The way their offense looks right now. Now, who knows how it looks once we get into November, December, if they could keep up this high level of offense. But right now, outside of Buffalo, like Baltimore has been fantastic. Their defense hasn't been great, but Miami, complete team.
I'm not calling the Ravens a great defense.
No.
I still think what they did was an anomaly against the Ravens. That was some wild shit.
But
Why are we
you have to. You put up 21 points in the fourth.
They did beat the Bills, but you got to look at the context of how they beat the Bills.
Well, why though?
Who are you putting over Miami in the AFC?
I would put
Buffalo, that's fine.
I would put a healthy Chargers team over them.
Is
They're
that going
not
to
healthy.
happen?
They don't
Rashawn
have
Slater's out for the
Slater's done for the year.
season.
That's
Keenan
true.
Allen hamstring
So
injury
right
at
now,
his
it'll probably
age
just
is
be the
worrisome.
Bills, the Dolphins, and the Ravens.
I
KC?
think the Dolphins are
KC, of
top
course,
three.
yeah,
I think it's
KC.
the Chiefs, the Bills, and Dolphins in no order. The Ravens are right in there, though. I think if the Ravens figure it out defensively, they're top two for
So
me.
they'll be
for
the
sure.
four, probably.
But
essentially.
for me, it's like, to answer the question and just, I guess, one answer, what's making the Dolphins contenders to me is Mike McDaniel. I think his offensive
Coach of the
system,
year right now.
what he's implemented has just been next level.
Hey.
Like the way,
That's a 100% fact. So are you saying what he said? Or?
Yeah, Coach of the Year.
No, it's what?
It's Simba
100%.
Sirianni. Respect.
For sure.
Pay
I would
respect.
okay.
I would be taking McDaniel right now just
'Cause he's
that
rookie. He's a
offense
rookie.
Has been,
Pay homage.
the
though,
way
please.
the way McDaniel window dresses things on offense, and like you said, Tua's throwing to wide open guys. I mean, that's a credit to the scheme and just the perfect play calls to beat these type of coverages that these defenses are in. And it's no knock to Tua, like you said. You know,
Tua
you
Does
really
a great
overstate
job
it.
of reading off
But
defenders as well, though.
it's also like just recognizing that this coach is making it insanely easy for this quarterback.
That's good, though.
And
As he
that's a
should.
that's a
That's
good
his
thing.
job.
That's what he's supposed to do.
Absolutely.
But when I look at Tua versus other quarterbacks that have to carry offenses, we'll see the real Tua when teams start figuring this offense out, and he has to make something happen out of nothing.
Which is what he did last year.
That's when we'll see the real Tua, when he's able to go above and beyond the offense. That's what makes a true franchise quarterback. And I don't want to make this a Tua topic every week, but he's playing well, but we have to temper down the expectation a little bit.
But why?
But for this offense, Tua's, I mean, obviously, sure, we want Justin Herbert or Allen.
Yeah,
But
Jared Goff was doing great in the Rams offense.
Okay, and he was looked as a franchise quarterback until he wasn't, but he was,
Until he got proven wrong.
He
Baker
went to the
Mayfield
Super
had an
Bowl.
amazing year in 2020.
Not what Tua's been doing.
Tua's leading the pack at QBR.
Once OBJ went out, Baker was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yo, a very interesting thing. The throw that Tua actually got hurt on, that
Yeah.
play was amazing. I just like to think back to when I'm watching film, I just think about like all the criticisms you guys have had on him. And then this one sticks out with you because of his inability to scramble out of the pocket or be mobile in the pocket. That play specifically was him evading a sack, getting away from another, throwing
it's a nice
off
ball.
platform to go to your point, and putting a dot for the first down.
Waddle, I
He
think?
threw off platform like 5 yards, bro.
That was not 5 yards.
It was. I mean, he
wasn't
was
that
like
deep of
8
a
yards
pass.
behind the line of
Facts.
scrimmage, but probably went like 5 or 6 yards. But regardless, it's
It's
a
like
great
a
play.
14, 15-yard throw.
It's a great play.
Tua had a bunch of amazing
The third and
throws,
22
and he only
is
had
the highlight
13
of the day.
completions.
He also threw a pick six that was dropped.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Josh
Matt
Allen.
I really
Milano.
am. I really am.
Josh Allen.
Because
Matt
I
Milano,
actually was
man.
waiting
that was
for
the
it.
one, bro.
That one was super highlighted. That Matt
Yeah,
Milano
'cause
pick six.
that was
that was the
gimme.
one.
That was a gimme.
So
Allen had a few, though.
People like
Sure.
to bring up the
Allen
pick
did have
six
a
that
few.
Milano dropped, but Josh Allen had 5 interceptions dropped.
He had a few, yeah.
You know what? That's why we don't live with ifs and buts, because he should have had a pick six, but then the Dolphins also could have had 2 pick sixes. You know what I'm saying? 5 dropped interceptions.
No, Josh Allen had a
Josh
few.
Allen
Tua
also
had-
threw the ball.
Tua had
60
one
plus
bad
times.
ball, and
That one was clutch,
it was,
though.
but so were these.
Yeah.
Josh
play
Allen
well.
also threw the ball 60+ times.
But
Yeah, but
that's
that's
His
not
offensive
ideal.
line was
That's
broken.
18 to 6, like
That's
18 to
not
63
ideal.
attempts.
It's not ideal.
I know it's not. I
Well,
mean, you can
yeah.
say it's not ideal, but the Bills have been playing like this.
To be
I
fair,
know.
the game wasn't ideal. The team is running in and out new guys every other play.
Like, this isn't-
is
I
not
mean,
going
the
to
Bills-
happen again.
the offense was pretty normal.
The Bills are running everything.
Stephon
through
had
Josh
cramps.
Allen.
That was
It's been
the
like
last
this
year.
since last year. Yeah,
What you mean?
But how long can this last?
What?
it can. They can win a Super Bowl like this. They can.
Dropping back 71 times.
I don't think he'll need to do that towards the end
like
of the year.
this isn't going to happen every week. He's
Yeah,
not going to have
this-
63
this is
And
attempts.
also,
situation.
I just
But
want
he's
to hit
going
on
to have
the.
to throw 40, 50 times.
I just want to hit on the weather point that you talked about. Buffalo had a tough time in Miami. The humidity definitely got to them.
They are a cold team.
It's the same way with Miami when they go up to Buffalo up
Sure.
north.
Oh, it's
when
gonna
they
get-
play
yeah,
when
it's
they
gonna get
play
icy up
Buffalo later in the year, they're gonna feel that weather
That's
too.
it.
That's the
See,
weather.
I won't be ignorant to that fact because anytime we've seen Tua in inclement weather, to be honest, he has not played his best. The week 17 against the Titans in the rain was probably Tua's worst game where he actually should have played well.
And it's going to be tougher because Tua's going to be more likely to play in cold weather than hot weather towards the end of the year.
Yeah, if he's
So,
not home.
I mean, his division is nothing but cold weather down the stretch.
Facts.
So
Yeah,
Right.
but for sure,
AFC in general
Josh
is all
Allen
cold.
did have a ton of picks dropped. The game should have been sealed, and they should have gotten opportunities because Josh Allen did have picks dropped.
he has some dying.
But Gabriel Davis dropped the red zone touchdown too.
Gabriel Davis couldn't get fucking separation.
No, he was open
one-
a couple
in the
times.
fourth?
The one
No,
that,
he wasn't.
The one that
3 for
kills me was
37.
that last throw to Isaiah
3
McKenzie,
for
obviously.
37, bro.
It's just that throw was right there.
knew he
Josh
fu-
Allen hits
Allen
that
knew he
9
fucked
out
Kind
of
of
10
like
times.
stuttered. He like stepped forward and stuttered, then
What,
tried to throw it, and he didn't have the. I don't know.
Honestly, for me, you get leeway when you threw the ball 60+
Fair.
times.
Yeah, but that's the
you-
game
that's
winning
hard.
play.
That's the
Get
game.
some
That's the
fatigue.
game
It
winning
was
play.
150 degrees.
I'll be honest.
That man
Josh
was
Allen.
red as
Josh
shit.
Allen doesn't get a pass from me on that throw.
Complete other way around.
We think he's the best quarterback in the
He
league.
played like
doesn't
shit. No,
get-
he played like
Let's say
shit
that
in
was
the fourth
Tua,
quarter. He
you
played
know,
like
and
shit
he
in the
had the
fourth quarter.
60 attempts, and he had made the 400 yards, and he shorts
Okay.
the throw.
Because Josh
We're-
Allen's gonna
we're
say the
immediately
same
Tua
thing.
on
has
him.
60 attempts. The game looks a lot different than Allen having 60
I mean,
attempts.
Well, not
that's
both
not
teams
true
have
because
60.
Tua had 50 throws the week prior, and they won.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean the fourth quarter.
That's what I'm
was
saying. He had 50
21.
throws. The game was all on Tua's arm, and he came through.